Hey all, this is Mike,
And this is Paxton.
and welcome to the Mad LiberTEA Party, where up is down, left is right, the rum is always gone, and the world is full of clowns.
If you feel like the world's gone mad, then pull up a chair and we'll throw you a teacup, because we're all mad here.
Heck yeah, and today it seems like everybody else is going mad out there too. It's kind of a silly, in my opinion, it's kind of silly that we even have to fucking think about this right now. But what this porn, fucking porn. Everybody's yelling about porn. Really? Are we back in that era? Are we gonna start having to fight to dance again?
Yeah, it's kind of an odd thing. I thought this was a long dead conversation, but I guess all of a sudden the what are claiming to be conservatives, which they might be, we aren't sure yet. It's hard to say if it's a far right movement or if it's an actual conservative movement
Yeah, it
with
might just be
conservatives
like a
actually acting
traditionalist
conservative.
movement or something.
It could be, but the thing is it seemed like they had given up the fight, and we've been sitting on this for years and years now, and now all of a sudden, out of the blue, they're like, oh yeah, fuck porn. I mean, forget that there's hundreds of other issues we could be discussing. No, porn is the real enemy here.
Yeah, porn. Like right in the middle of all of this. You know, they're freaking fighting for their freedom in Korea. I mean, in Korea, in fucking Hong Kong. Well, and in, I mean, technically, we've got all this stuff in North Korea. And then we've got freaking Iraq and all this other shit and fucking, oh my god. But no, stop the fucking presses. Porn is bad and it's ruining society. Not, the fact that our government is kind of stomping all over everything, or the fact that our taxes are funding the murder of people in foreign countries and shit. It's porn.
Well, here's the thing, and this is something that we probably disagree on. I don't agree with porn. I think porn is a very dangerous thing. I think it's like any other addiction out there, except I think it's something that's designed specifically in mind to be addicting. It's essentially like a gambling machine. It's there to hit all the buttons and keep you coming back because it does create dopamine addictions. I don't think it's good for you. I don't think it's healthy. I think it can cause problems. I think it is causing problems, particularly in younger men, because we're some of the first generations that grew up with online pornography as a regular thing. It's kind of just an accepted thing as a guy now to assume that your guy friends are all watching porn, um,
Yeah.
and it's the first time that we're growing up with this instant access, instant reward type of porn.
Well, I mean, I kind of agree with the fact that we have a problem with the marketing. Like they are marketing to addiction and trying, and it not only does that kind of sicken me, but and so like I kind of have to agree with you there, but I don't think that porn in itself is harmful. I think that the way that we handle it and the way that we over sexualize our society and our everyday shit is harmful, but I don't think porn is harmful. Porn is natural. Everybody has used it, and it has been fought for as a form of expression. Like people have been arrested for this shit. The Fed actually would come in and raid places because they made porn. Like this was a long fought battle for us to be able to create pornography safely in the United States. And I guess these people would rather us go back into the dark ages. We already have a hard enough time where the sex trade being illegal is actually endangering people who work in porn. So, like, making porn, like finding ways to ban porn is just going to make people more endangered and shit like that. Because people aren't going to stop looking at it or wanting it or getting it. They tried to prohibit it already and it didn't work.
Well, that's where we're going to agree at. So, even though we both have very different opinions on porn and the accessibility of it and the damages that it causes, what we both agree on is that bringing the government into the conversation is
Is a
the wrong
terrible
thing to
idea.
do. Because the government stepping in for the betterment of the people's health has never fucking worked, ever. Prohibition, the war on drugs, Even with smoking now, there's heavy taxes on smoking, but people are still smoking. With the war on drugs, they said that is for our health, the health of the communities. Guess how many people are getting murdered over marijuana now?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this isn't something that we want to bring the government in. If you're really concerned about porn, like myself, being one of those people, somebody that really feels like porn is something damaging, we need social and cultural changes. We need to bring the tradition. We need to bring, if it's religion that you need, then we need to bring that back into it. But it should be a cultural and social change. There should not be a government coming in and pointing guns at the back of people's heads. That is never the answer. It never helps. All it does is establish black markets. And the last fucking thing we want is a black market for porn.
Yeah.
If you're already afraid of women getting women trafficking and children pornography and things of that nature, then the last thing you want is for the black market to get a hold of pornography, because there's already seedy people in the industry. That's going to be the worst of the worst.
Yeah,
is going to be a black market pornography.
Yeah, if you just like the human trade issue, don't support banning porn, because you're only going to be feeding it more, because it's already being fed a little bit now because of the dangers that are still involved.
I've talked about it in previous videos with Paxton Sips, where we talk specifically about addiction, and porn fits along those lines. I do not like it, and I think it's something that people need to fight with. But if it's something you care strongly about and you think it's something that is damaging society, then we need to create groups. We need to create those AA type situations where we can all sit down and explain our experiences and have people that we can lean on with our addiction and acknowledge it as just that, an addiction.
I mean, yeah.
If we're not doing that,
because we've got groups for all sorts of other things. Like, what would be wrong with that? Like gaming, we have groups for gamers who game too much. We have the Alcohol Anonymous and Narcotic Anonymous and all that shit. I don't see why people couldn't take their own lives by the reins and encourage other people to do the same thing without having to, like, come in and bully their ideas on other people, because it's just, it needs to be consensual, I think, is the issue for me.
The main thing is there are porn addiction groups. The problem is that it's kind of a taboo subject, and a lot of people don't see it as an issue because the left has pushed it as this healthy thing to do, and it's not entirely. There's a limit, just as there is with all things.
Anything,
if you're drinking entire bottles of Jack Daniels every night, you probably have a fucking problem. If you're having to do porn every single night, or you can't go to sleep properly, then you probably have a problem. If you're unable to have a normal sexual relationship, then you probably have a problem. Correct. Here's the thing about it. If you're an individual that needs the government to outlaw something and you want to use that as some sort of strength, I don't know what it is, but the real people that have strength are the ones that are going out there and beating their addictions or their ailments without government mandates. If we had this discussion earlier about people being obese and our view on fat shaming and things of that nature. And one of the first things people did was recommend more government interference. And I've never gotten so mad so quickly in my life. I couldn't believe
he
that there
wrote
were people,
like all these lines. It was crazy.
Just paragraphs and paragraphs ranting about this type of thing. the people... it just makes no sense at all. If the moment that you start regulating these type of things, the moment that everything's going to get so much worse. Can you imagine a world where there was a weight limit for people? Imagine if you got a pound over your assigned nation's weight. What happens to you? Do you go on a fucking hunger strike? What's the deal? Do they
I
throw you
mean,
in prison until you lose a pound?
don't they like have something similar to this kind of in Japan? But they don't throw you in jail or anything. They
No, it's a
just
cultural and
require
societal thing.
you to go
It's a
exercise a
cultural and
certain
societal thing.
amount of
It's not
time
a
or
law.
something. I don't know how it works.
No, it is a cultural and societal
Is
thing.
it?
It is not a law.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought that
it's
they
just
had regulations now. It may just be for certain
no,
employees or something, for certain employers or something.
no. I
Uh,
mean, they have
I
regulations
mean,
on like
and also
food,
like
health wise.
I know that there are platforms out there that like Gab that are like supporting this whole thing, and like it's okay if you want to make your private platform, you know, not friendly to porn. That's totally okay. That's your fucking choice, you know. But some people are gonna freaking not like that, and to just like, I don't know. I think that kind of leads into the fact that, this whole porn thing has gotten kind of crazy, and it's gotten into the internet, and it's gotten into the social media, and it's really bringing some people's like real face out. Like they're getting nasty out there. And I feel like in a
There's
way some people are using this to strike out specifically at libertarians, because like while we don't all support porn as a personal preference, we are kind of all kind of like back up off my shit though. You know,
correct. The thing with porn is that it is a crime that does not hurt anybody. It's the same thing with marijuana. You smoking a joint does not harm anyone else. The only potential harm it has is to yourself. And if that's a risk that you want to take, that should be your right as an adult, as an individual. It is not my place to step in and say, hey, I wouldn't make this decision for my own body, therefore you can no longer make that
yeah.
decision. If you want to be a dumbass and do every single kind of drug known to man and do a bottle of Jack and Coke every single night, then by all means, that's your fucking right. I don't support it on a
I'm not
personal
gonna do
level,
it with you.
and if you ever ask me for my input or advice, I'm going to share that with you, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but I'm never going to step in and say you
You
cannot do
cannot
this.
do that.
Now, the thing with Gab is that it's very clear that they have an issue with Libertarian,
Specifically,
even
yeah.
though that was one of their main people that came in. Uh, you, Libertarians are largely the
Yeah,
reason why
like
Gab is in the position that it
libertarians
is in.
and anarchism and the whole Tumblr porn purge is what kind of brought me to Gab in the first place with a whole lot of other people. And I mean, I gotta say, it's kind of tacky and weirdly two-faced, and maybe some people will be mad, but I'm gonna point this out. Gab and Torba reached out to the people who were being displaced on Tumblr during the porn purge, selling free speech and trying to bring them to their platform. And now they're like, oh no, porn is bad, and all this other shit, like they've always been some pious, you know
Well, the thing
perfect
about it
fucking
is that
place.
Gab has
And
specifically mentioned that they're doing this for marketing reason. They specifically have mentioned it in two separate
yeah,
tweets now, where
they
they talk
read,
about their membership
yeah,
growing because of this, and specifically mentioning that it is for marketing. Um, I don't think this has anything to do with what Torba
with
may or
porn.
may not believe, but I think this has to do with
Exactly.
rattling the most sabers that you possibly can to get the most attention that you possibly can, and it's largely
Yeah.
working.
The
He's
fact
starting a movement, whether he meant to or not.
the fact that he's like directly calling out libertarians, on the other hand, makes me very uncomfortable to remain on the platform and continue supporting the platform and continue suggesting it to people, because most of the people I'm suggesting it to are like anarchists and libertarians and shit like that. I'm not sitting around giving it to people who are like traditionalist conservative Christians and shit. So like, I don't feel comfortable with like posting there anymore or anything like that. So we're probably going to be removing ourselves from the platform. And it's not,
Well,
oh, Torba hurt our feelings, we're gonna run away. It just doesn't make sense to me to be supporting something that calls libertarians out by name and hates us like that. I don't want to really give them the airtime.
it would kind of be like a person from Hong Kong being on a pro-Chinese website.
Yeah, exactly. And it just seems inappropriate. Like, I'm not, uh, I don't really feel butthurt. I'm just mostly confused. Like,
It's not about Torba disagreeing with us. It's more
yeah,
about
I've disagreed with
we no
Torba
longer
for a long
same
time.
we no longer have the similar values. We came to Gab because they support the freedom of speech, and it is very clear to us that it's not the freedom of speech. It's whatever I would like to say, whatever my side would like to say, which is not that different
Or
from
whatever
what.
gets me the largest growth right now has to say.
Right. It's not any different from the
It's YouTube.
SJWs from Twitter and things of that nature, where it's currently claims that they're persecuting conservatives left and right. It's really the same thing. It's just the different side of the coin. But yeah, we most
Yeah.
likely will no longer be continuing with Gab. There's plenty of other websites,
yeah.
fortunately, and there's more and more websites growing.
We picked
Fortunately,
up more.
Fortunately, Styx just recently announced that they're actually doubling down on BitChute and supporting them financially to help grow the site. And
So are
we're
we.
actually, yep, we're doing that as well because we think BitChute is definitely the place to be.
Yeah.
And hopefully you guys join us on BitChute. You know, if you're seeing this on YouTube or another website, check over at BitChute. I mean, there's really good content over there.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool
And
creators
a whole
and
bunch
people
of
are coming over.
it's a growing community for sure, so it's definitely
Yeah.
something to check
And
out.
if you like a place where you can talk about things and not really worry about too much persecution, and you just want a social media type place to go to that's not Gab, and like, I'm gonna suggest minds.com. They have a really nice layout, they have a cool app. It's kind of blockchainy and shit. It's really nice though, and you can upload videos there, and you can have groups and little chats, and you can have your instant messages and your reblogs and everything. It's pretty nice stuff. It's actually much nicer than Gab anyway. So get on over there and check out Minds, and we're over there too. You can search for us.
But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give us a like and subscribe or comment below.
Yeah.
If you didn't like this video, downvote it and complain to us in the comments about what was wrong with it. If you would like to have a conversation with us at some point, debate around different subjects, or maybe even get on the show at some point, feel free to join our Discord and let's have a
Yeah, get up in
conversation.
here.
Anything else you'd like to add, Mike?
No, I think that's okay. I mean, like, whatever. Porn for everybody. Free Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Something about Stefan calling me a degenerate.
Yeah.
I think that's about it for the night, though. You guys be safe and keep your porn close. Download it. It might not be here tomorrow. This Mad Liberty break is adjourned.